I'm making this announcement in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, being Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, Laws of the State of New Jersey. Planning Board Secretary has prepared a schedule of the meetings of the Kenilworth Planning Board for the year 2021 and posted a true copy of the schedule on the bulletin board located at the front entrance of Borough Hall, and has mailed true copies of this schedule to the local source, Star Ledger, and is maintaining a copy of this in Borough Hall. Accordingly, the notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied in regards to this meeting. Please stand for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Karlovich will administer the oath of office to the newly appointed planning board members, as well as the reappointed members. Those members are Lawrence Clementi, Anthony Ladauti, Nick Pantina, Michael Scuderi, Louis DiMondo, Anthony DeLuca, and Darren McMullen.
So I think, are we doing everyone at one time? Is that how,
Sure. Yeah.
or do you want to do it individually?
I think if you do it everyone at one time, and they could all just state their name in succession, and then
Okay.
you go from there, it'd be easy.
Okay, does everyone want to come up? Sure. So I guess I'll start and then go along and
Speak it up and go along.
Yes. Okay, I guess it's and then we'll start with each person's name. We'll start with,
You can start with me if you
we'll start
want.
with our former mayor. Okay.
I, Anthony DeLuca. I'm Mike Scuderi. I'm Darren McMahon. I, Eagle Champion. I, Louis DiMondo.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
Is that how it's spelled?
and bear true allegiance to the same and the governments established under the authority of the people. I do further solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform the duties of member of the planning board and mayor designate. I think I got it. That's good?
Yeah.
And then also maybe Joe's council representative to the planning board, Mr. Fitzgerald. And that's it. Thank you. I can do the oath of office if you'd like. It's up to you. Kathy,
For who?
the professionals?
You do that after we appoint them.
Okay.
I'll do a roll call. Mayor Karlovich? Here. Mr. Paserno?
Here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Finestrella?
Here.
Mr. Clementi?
Here.
Mr. Mazzio?
Here.
Mr. Pantina?
Here.
Mr. Colello?
Here.
Mr. Ladauti?
Here.
Mr. Scuderi?
Here.
Mr. Herbalario?
Here.
Mr. DiMondo?
Here.
Mr. DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. McMahon?
Here.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the election of officers. Do I have a motion to nominate a chairman?
Someone's got to speak up. I nominate Rich Paserno for chair.
Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Ladowdy. Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Well,
Mr.
Kathy,
David?
You want to,
Pardon me?
just for the record, you want to see if there's any other nominations?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. Any other nominations for
Sorry, Rich.
chairman? See none?
I make a motion to close the nominations.
Second.
Okay. Roll call. Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi? Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Colello?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
And Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Congratulations, Rich.
Congratulations, Chairman.
Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate it. I'm very happy.
I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you.
Just give me a minute to get settled in.
Okay. Vice Chair.
I'll stay right there. That's you.
Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and congratulations to the new members. At this point, we need to have a motion for our vice chair. Would someone like to make that motion?
Nominate Mr. David. Second.
Nominated by Mr. David, second by Mr. Clementi. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none? Mr. David?
Make a motion to close the nominations.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi? Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina? Mr. Colello?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
And Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bill. Okay. We'd like to have a motion for our recording secretary. I'd like to make the motion.
You're right.
Made by Mr. Paserno, seconded by Mr. Pantina. Roll call. Is there any other? For who? Recording secretary. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Colello?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations, Kathy. Okay, item number 6. We're going right into a motion to approve the December 10th regular meeting minutes and the special meeting minutes of December 17th, 2020. Someone going to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mayor Karlovic,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Demondo.
Correct.
Is that correct, Demondo? I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Kathy, any communications?
No, Chairman, no communication.
Okay, seeing none, we're going to go into the resolutions for our appointments of our planning board attorney, our planning board planner, and our planning board engineer.
Special meeting minutes?
We just talked
did
about...
both of them?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, for this resolution, usually, I guess I would read that off, but I'm wondering if the mayor would like to do that.
Sure.
Mr. David, you have any objection?
No, I'm sorry.
Does she have them?
I don't have them, though.
You don't have them? Do I have them?
Yeah, you should have them. You don't have them.
I don't have them here.
I'll go get them.
Thank you.
Do we need the actual resolutions? Can't we just make a motion
Oh, we
and
can
a
make a
second?
motion.
Oh, we don't have to read the resolution and sign them?
I mean, since we don't have them, we can move it along.
We can move it along. Okay, motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Rego as our planning board attorney.
Second.
Made by Mr. David, second by Mr. Pantina. Roll call, please.
Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Colello?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
And Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Congratulations, Ken.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, a motion for our planning board planner.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by
Kevin
Mr.
O'Brien?
Okay, listen, we're all here, I know it's a little late, we need some help. Motion made by Mayor Karlovic, seconded by Mr. Pantina, roll call, please.
Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Colello?
Here.
Mr.
Yes.
Always one.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll say congratulations to Lou because I say congratulations to Kevin.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, board. Look forward to another successful year. Thank you for your continued confidence.
Okay, we like to have a motion for our planning board engineer.
I make a motion to appoint harbor engineer,
All right,
harbor
motion made.
consultants, I should say.
Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Pantina, who is waving his hand high in the air. Roll call, please. Sorry, Mr. DeLuca, we'll get to you. You're sitting too far in the bleachers.
Mayor Karlovic?
Yes.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Finestrella?
Yes.
Mr. Clementi?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Colello?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Herbalario?
Yes.
Mr. Demondo?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca?
Yes.
And Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, Victor and Chris and Harbor. And okay, our next resolution is application number 383, 636 Boulevard LLC, Block 86, Lot 11. Lou, you usually take the floor here for this resolution, correct?
All right. This is the resolution for the service station, automobile service station on the boulevard in North Michigan Avenue, 636 Boulevard LLC. The board conducted the 2 hearings on this application. At the last meeting, by a 5-2 vote, it approved the application, which included preliminary and final site plan approvals, some dimensional variances, and a use variance for conditions that could not be met. Since this resolution was circulated, Gary Goodman, who's the attorney for the applicant, reviewed it with his engineer, Ed Deck, and I had forwarded 4 comments that Mr. Goodman and Mr. Deck made to the numerous conditions that we had in this resolution. If the board and our consultants, our engineering consultant and Kevin agree with these modifications, I have no problem. The board can act on the resolution tonight and, as amended, and then I can revise the resolution and get it back to Kathy. If what Mr. Goodman has set forth as these proposed modifications doesn't sit well with the board, or if that's not your recollection, we can talk about it. But, so I'm wide open.
Lou, Mr. Rego, let me just jump in here a little bit. As the board knows, we usually get resolutions in enough of time that we could read through them where this
Yes.
board could pick up on certain things that may have been missed or not missed. So, with respect to Mr. Rego, if any board member got this late, don't really know or understand what is going on tonight, I would then put off this resolution until the next hearing. But if we feel that it's okay, then we could move forward. Mr. David, can you help me with that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I also got,
If I could make one comment, I did speak with the chairman about this, and I spoke with Kathy about it. As the board's aware, we had, just looking at the resolution, we had 29 conditions. There were a number of conditions involving the site. And at the last meeting, Kevin and I agreed to put our heads together and compare notes so that we don't miss any. And it took really until the beginning of this week for that to happen. And the next step was drafting it and making sure it was tied down. So you normally have these resolutions several days ahead of time. I apologize for this one. We just had to cross the Ts and dot the Is on the conditions. Some of them, as you can see, there's some possible, not disagreements, but clarification that may be necessary.
So let me just say this about that, Mr. Rego. He did call, and I said, get it out there. If we could do it, let's do it. If we can't, we'll relook at it. And I only meant it that way, Mr. Rego. I didn't mean that you weren't on top of your game. I just want everybody to know that because time was of a crunch, we had this special meeting, you didn't have enough time to get things done. There are some things that could be talked about in that resolution, but if this board feels like you so eloquently stated, I don't have a problem with it, but I can only say my opinion, but I can't speak for the board. That's why I always revert back to Mr. David for some help.
Yeah, and as I said, I also received the email, I think this afternoon, so I certainly didn't have any time. But I have no objection that if our professionals want to take a few moments to review it, and when I say that, for me, I really mean a few moments to go over it, and we can straighten it out, that's fine. If it's going to take a half hour or something to go through this, then my opinion, and obviously I'm just one opinion, is that we would postpone the actual memorialization until the next meeting.
I think the meat of this resolution, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, is in the conditions. The verbiage just discusses generally what Mr. Deck testified to, what Mr. Meeks testified to, what Mr. Singh testified to. The conditions are where the board wanted to nail it down, starting on page 5. And that some of them are our normal conditions, but others may need some fine tuning. It's up to the board.
Perhaps if it's not ready, we should postpone till the next meeting.
As far as I'm concerned, Mayor, I think that the conditions were a very important part of the application. There were 29. I will say that Mr. Goodman and his client was very gracious in trying to get things done and agree to a lot of things. However, if we go back to Mr. David's request that maybe our engineer and our planner give us a brief overview, and he said very brief, maybe we could get this through.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, I guess I would defer to Kevin and Lou and Chris. Do you feel that you can hash this out quickly, or you need a good amount of time? And to me, then that...
As far as I'm concerned, and only 4 board members will be voting on this.
Right.
The 4 that vote, well, there were 5 that voted for it. I understand 1 member's not here? Okay, so there'd be 4 members voting. If these are basically site plan suggestions by, or comments by Mr. Goodman, if Kevin and Chris say now, we've looked at these 4 proposed changes and we don't have a problem with them, or they refresh our recollection and he's correct, and then I can revise this resolution, not tonight, but we can do it tonight, and we can, and I can have that modified. But if the board's not comfortable, or if those 4 members are not comfortable, then we can carry it. It's up to you. But I would ask Chris or Kevin if they've reviewed this and have a view, have a thought.
I reviewed, I am prepared to discuss.
You're prepared to what?
I am prepared to discuss, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, there are only 4 items, 11, 18, 16, and 21, pertains to the light, the garbage, the corral, and the opening, which I wanted to hear a little bit more about, that from the 40 feet to 24, and there is a statement in there that this was the chairman's suggestion, so if my name was being used in here at that time, I'd like to elaborate on that and just to clear it. And if we could get it done now, let's do it.
There
If we
was
don't
a
mind.
discussion on that item, Chairman, which we should make a decision on.
Okay. So you got the floor.
Okay. Regards page 6, item 11, Mr. Goodman says the applicant is replacing light that exists. I don't think that perhaps a revision could be made in that condition so that all new site lighting or all existing site lighting, basically whatever they're replacing has to be shielded in accordance with the board's wishes.
We have that,
Whether
yeah.
it's new or it's replacement, doesn't matter to us. So if you want to reword that in such a way that
Okay.
would accommodate that.
So there's no new lighting, it's existing lighting?
Well, there is going to be new lighting on the building, I understood, and there's going to be new lighting in the canopy.
Ah, okay.
So there's a
Right.
combination of new, and Mr. Goodman says that he's replacing the light, I think he's referring to the corner light.
Corner light that's on the pole that was going to be removed and then replaced, correct?
Mr. Goodman is here, I don't know.
Yeah.
If Mr. Goodman wants to clarify, he's...
If we're saying something that we need clarification, Mr. Goodman is here, but just to make it simple, what I remember was that the light, the pole, everything was being changed, and that was going to be a new structure there, correct, Mr.
Right.
Goodman?
That's correct.
So that's the way it should read. Not just changing the light, because one could think, let's just change a fixture.
Okay. All right.
Page 6, item 18.
That's a
stated
template.
the deck showed it on the plan already. I don't think he showed the exit. He showed the entry of the truck.
Yes, he only showed the truck coming in, not necessarily the truck coming out.
So we take exception to that comment.
Okay.
So we'll leave it as is, in and out.
Okay.
Page 6, item 16, the brick shall be contained within a refuse enclosure, which will be screened with a 6-foot high solid fence. Mr. Goodman and the site plan did indicate that there was a brick wall that did that.
Yes.
So that passage can be revised
Okay.
to show that it is existing.
Got it.
That's fine.
And then the last, I'm sorry, give you a model.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Item 21, which is on page 7, the driveway on North Michigan. There was discussion about eliminating that because it was immediately adjacent to the intersection. And there was discussion. Chair, you contributed to that, board members contributed. I think we walked away thinking that it was eliminated, but please give us your remembrance of the conversation. We may have missed that.
I would like to ask the engineering company what they heard on that evening for the driveway entry and exit.
Just to be clear, we're talking about the one that's on
The northernmost drive.
North Michigan. I was that they were gonna reduce it. That was my.
That they were what?
They were gonna reduce the width of the driveway.
To reduce the width to 24?
Yes.
Okay, because there was talk that we were going to eliminate it at one point, but we didn't. Mr. Mazzio?
I agree that we did. I agree with Christian.
I did too. That's how I remember it.
And are we talking both ingress and egress on that drive, or? I know,
I don't think we specified.
just leave it as is?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can still make a left out of there if they dare.
Yeah.
I thought you said we were going to have a sign in the upper zone. But then we discussed putting a flip top in those roads so they could take it.
No left turn.
So for clarity, there's still going to be 4 entrances and egresses. If we could use it, we could talk about it that way, but it's going to be reduced, am I correct?
It will be, that one will be reduced. Did we get rid of the one on Boulevard?
No,
That's
the
there.
westerly one was
Okay.
tightened, and the other one is ingress only, I think. The easterly, yeah.
Anybody else have any
And
questions
signage?
to that?
Signage on that, okay.
The Luton talked about possible signage, like no left turn to the boulevard.
Yeah, no left turn.
Right.
That's the one on North Michigan Ave, right?
Yes.
The northern, got it, okay.
Is everyone else okay with that on the board? Okay. Chris, you have anything to add, or are you okay?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay. Continue, Mr. Rego.
That's it. I mean, we have the resolution of approval with the conditions. If the board feels comfortable acting tonight, the 4 members, we can adopt a resolution and I will then return to my splendid office and make the changes that are necessary and provide them to Kathy. So it would be memorialized as amended, as we talked about tonight. The existing driveway will go from 40, the North Michigan Ave Drive will go from 40 to 24, no left turn sign, brick wall, enclosure's fine, I'll modify that. I'll keep the radius, the template coming in and out, and on the replacing light, well, there's going to be new lights. So the existing light, Kevin, were we talking LED or?
We were waiting for a lighting plan.
Okay.
He had recommended
Per light, okay.
that they would replace all the lighting on site. We recommended LED. They were going to submit a plan for Christian and...
Got it, all right. So I will add that also, a lighting plan. And that's it.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution as stated and adjusted by Mr. Rego?
The motion and second should only come from the two of the four members, yeah.
Correct.
And then we'll...
And Kathy, you would have those, right?
Four members are Paserno, Mazzio, Colello, and Scuderi.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Mazzio, seconded by Mr. Scuderi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio? Mr. Colello?
Yeah.
Mr. Scuderi?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Take care of that.
Okay. We got all of that. Oh, let me find my place.
We should have both sworn
Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, at this point, we need to swear our professionals in, and I think Mayor Kolovich is going to do that right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, okay. Okay, it's different because we're swearing in everyone separate, together, but we say I, Lou Rego.
Hi, Lou Rego.
I, Kevin O'Brien. I'm sorry, and I, Christian Curto, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and bear true faith and allegiance
and bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform the duties
and justly perform the duties of planning board planner.
Planning board attorney.
And plan board engineer.
okay, according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mayor, the last time I took that oath, I wound up wearing olive drab for 4 years.
Okay. All right, we're moving right along. Any new business? Seeing none. Beautiful. Comments for the good of the board? Okay. So you know I'm going to make a comment for the good of the board.
I figured.
Thank you, Mr. David. So I am thrilled to be your chairman again, and I would like to tell you that, as always, I am going to do everything in my power to do the best that I can and to deliver good application decisions with this board. I will tell you that last year, sometimes I was leaning one way because I thought that was the way to go, but this board made me see things another way. And that's what a board is all about. It's not about a one-man show. It's not about the chairperson or the vice chair. It's about everything that you guys have to offer to us so we could make the best decision for the borough. There's no one here better than anybody else. Without your help and support and without the people coming forward from the borough, we can't really do our job properly. So I get somewhat anxious and aggravated when I sometimes hear things in the street, but nobody shows up to voice their opinion that could help their own borough. So we have it in our hands to do the best we can. I congratulate Mr. David again on his vice chair appointment, and Kathy, without you, we're not getting through these things. Kevin, Chris, and Victor, and Lou, thank you so very much for all the hard work you do. And the new board members, I can't wait to work with you. And I'm going to get your name right, but I'm going to call you Joe for now. Joe, welcome aboard. We're going to work together well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have. Anyone else? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mayor Kolovich. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public? Seeing none?
Make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Seconded, made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Ladati. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. David?
So moved.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We do have an application next month in February.
Okay.
And that is for FCB Realty, which is at 460 Boulevard. They're requesting a use variance and preliminary final site plan for retail and residential at that location. It's on the boulevard.
Okay.
What's the address of that?
460, across from the school.
So,
Kevin, he's withdrawn his application because
Pardon me?
he's withdrawn his application right now because he's going to Italy. Mr. Paparato, late today.
Withdrawn the application?
Well,
or
he's
asked to
postponed it, postponed it.
Mr. Chair, we have no business for next month.
so moved.
But I understand we have an Italian fact-finding trip coming.
Yes, we do. So that, I wanted to take 2 more minutes of your time about that because you all got in your emails our schedule. And I'm going to ask the new board members, as well as all of us, they hear the same spiel every year. If you go down the list, can you please get to our recording secretary, Kathy, immediately if you're on vacation or you're not going to be here, because if we don't have quorum, we can't conduct our meetings. With that being said, if we don't have an application, that's one thing, but we can still hold our workshop because there's a lot to do with our planning board master plan.
Master plan.
And so Mr. David is going to help us out with that, with the committee and all that, and we got to get that moving right away. The one other thing we need to talk about is our start time. Tonight, we started at 7:30, went to 8 o'clock. Our normal start time is 6:30 for our workshop and 7 o'clock for our meeting. However, I had the pleasure of coming to our council meeting last night, which I will make most of those. I noticed that what they do is they do a workshop and then immediately following. I did notice that sometimes in our workshops, we're 15 minutes, we're struggling for conversation. If it's football season, we could stay there till 11. But if we could do the same thing, if there's no objection, I would like to do that. Mr. David or anyone else, do you have an objection?
I don't have an objection, but I just wondered if that's doable, because if you advertise to the public that the public meeting begins at 7, then in my mind, you can't start until 7, which is
It has to be
how it has
advertised that it's happening immediately following.
Right, but I'm saying, I don't know how ours was advertised as well.
We only started that
Oh, okay,
during COVID.
we're gonna
It was only for
re-advertise?
COVID.
Oh,
If you
Because we
decide-
were on Zoom and,
Yeah,
you
if
know.
you decide that you want to change the times,
Yeah.
we'll re-advertise.
So the first question is, I think it would be a good idea to start at 6:30, and then after our workshop, if it goes to 7, it goes to 7, but we should stipulate that at 7 o'clock we will go there, but it will immediately follow, right? However, we also should stipulate that we will have a 5-minute recess, okay? So if we're done at 6:45, 5-minute recess, just like they did, and then they reconvened, and boom, they got it going.
So I wasn't clear on that. So does the mayor and council, do you guys ever go beyond what would be considered the work session period? and then the actual meeting, if you're advertising as, it starts immediately after. So if we decide to take an hour for our work session,
It has sometimes gone over. It depends on what's on the agenda.
Maybe,
so that, I mean, in my mind, that's kind of a disadvantage to applicants that have to appear here. Like, we have applications that we have to hear, that's different
Right,
from the mayor and
right.
council.
Right.
So then, having thought about it, I'm not really in favor of that.
Okay.
Unless we say that.
we know as a group.
Well, no, unless we could say that the latest, the actual meeting will
Right.
start is 7 PM.
I guess the disadvantage would be is if you got done really early and you had to hear an application and they weren't here, it would be difficult to tell specifically what time for someone to come.
Right. Yeah, like I said, for me, it's different from mayor and council, because we have to cater to the applicants that are coming before us. So, I mean, I think we could maybe work it out.
So,
Maybe if we want to go that route, but I mean, the bottom line is, we only have a half-hour work session.
Yeah, we're talking 15 minutes, right? So why don't we leave it the way it is?
I think that's best.
And we'll just keep it going so there's no confusion. 6:30 work session, 7 o'clock
Change the time of the actual meeting to 7.
to 7. 6:30 workshop, 7 o'clock meeting, and then we'll keep it going. Good?
That means that no hearing will start till 7.
No meeting starts till 7.
Right, no hearing.
Okay? Is there anything else, any stuff like that?
The oath of, for everyone that took the oath of office tonight, I have the oath for you to sign, so if you could just do that before you leave.
Okay. And I guess for our new members as well, I guess you will see Kathy or Ellen, I'm not sure who does that, Kathy, to get to school if you haven't gone to school, and, the borough pays for that, right? So get with Kathy and she'll tell you what to do if anybody didn't take that course yet. Anyone else? Good. All right, I think you already...
There was a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Adjourn?
Then we are
There was,
adjourned.
yes.
Yes, it was adjourned.
You need a
Thank you,
second.
everyone.
You need a second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I did it, yeah.
We're free to go.